This is day 149 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you would like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of Arukh HaShulchan OC, it'd be greatly appreciated. Please contact me directly. We're in the middle of Siman Kuf Ches. Today is Siman Kuf Ches Sif Dal through Sif Yud Aleph. And question of, we're still in the middle of the issue of Tashlumin for a tefillah which is not Smucha versus Tashlumin for a tefillah which you missed B'mezid. And says the Arukh HaShulchan nearly, but that's a bit based on the daktek. Melakon, how does the go know the b'mezid yachol is part tefillas harshus? And we missed the tefillah b'mezid. You can still daven tefillas harshus, meaning it's not technically tashlumin officially, but it's still a tefillas nedava, which makes up somewhat for the missed tefillah. The yesh mikshik shalov ke. Those who ask is the bach. Vanirish ken diktek agon miloshen hashasham. So this is what the gon, presumably Rabbi Gon, learns in the Shas there. Remove us, lo yuchal yitkon, some distortion you cannot fix. Zeh should be the kriya shema shel shachris or kriya shema shel arvis or tefillah b'chuli ayin sham. It's somebody who commits a shema or tefillah. Medamet tefillah kriya shema. There's a linkage maybe between tefillah and kriya shema. Kriya shema pshita and kriya shema. It's certain sheyachol likros kriya under rishus. You can obviously read shema anytime you want. It's optional. It's no worse than reading Torah. You can't amid tefillah, so that should be also the case by tefillah. You can daven anytime you want. Came in the first Gemara, and the Gemara does say explicitly you can daven an optional tefillah. Okay, lo daven tefillas nedava. It's not similar to tefillas nedava. Ain't so a chiddush, and it doesn't require a chiddush, right? That is where you're making up a tefillah. So then you're allowed to daven. So therefore, you don't need a chiddush as opposed to tefillas nedava, where the Gemara did not give you that allowance, so to speak. And mashenkim tefillah shein smucha lo shon iskar klab b'Gemara l'shitaso and tefillas nedava tefillah tzricha chiddush. So therefore, if you want to daven to make up for a davening which was 2 davenings ago, that you need to have a chiddush because that's completely nedava. There's no framework for that to be a tefillas rishus versus the tefillas nedava. So according to this, we have tefillas choiva, the tefillah of that time, the tefillas rishus, which is the tashlumin to make up for what you missed, and the tefillas nedava, which is when you can't make up what you missed. It's lost. But nevertheless, you want to actually do something to try and atone for your mu'uvas. So therefore, if you have tefillas rishus, even though you did it b'mezid, and you're not going to get full tashlumin, since that's in the framework of Chazal, therefore it doesn't require chiddush. If you're going to do tefillas nedava, which is when it's outside the framework, because you missed that tefillah 2 tefillos ago, so then you need a chiddush. That's only tefillas nedava, not tefillas rishus. Okay? Hey, umanikra onus. What's called onus? They compel that then your tefillah is the true tashlumin. Lav dafka in his gomer doesn't mean a completely circumstance beyond one's control. But even if you didn't daven, as long as you still have, despite the fact you still have time, because you thought you'd still have time after your involvement in whatever you're being involved right now. The bank of a call over in the meantime, the hour passed. Somebody was distracted from by his monetary issues. They have said they did not come to a loss. They got chivsim in his pile, and that way he lost out on the time davening. Such as where he was by a boss to demand that which he's supposed to get. And the discussion went on until the time passed. He thought the time was going to pass. Involved in his merchandise. To put the merchandise in its proper place. He thought he's going to have time to daven after he finishes. He said, not only this, I feel Yoshe Botel. Even sitting idle, because man feel the time until came, but Yochel is by a clip that at sale he was lazy. Varmei said, "Oh, the Yeshli man is still time." V'charach nishkach mimenu, then he forgot. Kitzor richlu is bel de'as daven. Rikagakin onus. That's called onus. The shichol have onus. For this purpose, forgetfulness is onus. Chenk sheyoshav lishtos b'dimyono shelo yishtaker. You sat down to drink, thinking that you were not going to get drunk. Your imagination that you're not going to get drunk. You did get drunk over his mind, and the time passed. I'll be honest. Close it over. Jump into this. Shalvad mezid gomer, unless it's an absolute deliberate skipping of the tefillah. Avi Michal Shogeg honors can be considered in the broader category, which here obviously are kind of overlapping, of ones or of shogeg or ones or mute, inadvertent, compelled, or mistaken. You can make it up in the next davening. Bir Allah is a little bit more machmir. Says if by a monetary loss, if it's not clear that you're going to suffer a loss, then it's more you're more likely to be be considered poshea. But that is the that's tummy. The Rabbi writes you still consider shoyeg and it's a suffix. So therefore he says you should make a tzedam and make it tonight. If I'm chayav, this is for my obligation. If not, it's an adava. Okay, back to Arukh HaShulchan. Vav, v'kasar ben Ram Abasiv Ches. The Ramah writes, "Mi l'chatchil lo yavor zman tefillah mishum hefsei mama." You should not let the time tefillah pass because of a loss of money. I can't show them. L'chayr nir b'kam nosa tefillah hefsei baro lo yavor zman tefillah. It seems like he's saying even when there's going to be a clear-cut loss, the time tefillah should not pass. You cannot say that. Shafil mitzvah say doraisa uzman overes. Even if the mitzvah say doraisa do and its time is passing, kamo esrog b'sukkos. Shem b'chuv l'tzi maman aleh, which you have to spend money to fulfill. Now required to spend a lot of money. He says, I'm astonished, and somebody who said that you have to spend a tenth of your property on an esrog. Ayin sham. So the Jubal davening. Shafil that's around me. Torah ain't a according to the Rambam, it's it's only once a day. Which causes the race to pay test. So you're certainly not required to lose lots of money for it. Especially because you can make it up in the next tefillah. But midas chasidus hizu. It's true. It's midas chasidus to lose the money. The kadoshi amarlo, it calls such a person holy. This cannot be the actual baseline halacha. The halacha is somewhat more machmir here. He says maybe more than a fifth you don't have to spend, but it sounds like Bir halacha that if you he's calling tefillah, even though it's pashas is the rabbanon, it's like mitzvah say that you should be moti chemesh on. It's difficult to say. Okay, Zayin. L'cheni re'elani is daiti boror. Kamanos chashash have say mammon. The law have say boror. So clearly he says, as Arukh HaShulchan, that we're talking about even a chashash, a suspicion of losing money, not an absolute certain loss. This seems to be the truth from the source of halacha. Somebody who went to the clerk, Sasayo, to help him, to collect his debts. He has to speak to them at great length. Preferably, you should not make vatel the tefillah, and even though you're going to lose money, and even for even you're learning, you're supposed to stop learning in order to start davening. And you're supposed to determine the reward of mitzvah versus the loss of a mitzvah. So, nevertheless, he said that's preferable, but that's a chatchila. And we're talking about zeu lachashash hefseid mammon v'lo hefseid boror. He's talking about a case where there's a possibility of a loss, not a definite loss. Ches yodushim b'znayakam yimusmali arvis b'ari omgodo. We know clearly from the Rishonim, especially from Rashi, beginning of Brachas, that the olden days they used to daven Marav when it was broad daylight out. There's a case of somebody who didn't yet daven mincha. He came to shul as they're about to daven Marav. You're lifting at teva, he spal arvis, and then he went down to be the shots, and he daven Marav. So he skipped mincha. It's as if he was mazed and not mincha. It's not true. The time is not passed. Uzman mincha, and it's still time mincha. Even though it's true, once he made it night, you can't have mincha anymore because it's contradictory, paradoxical. Just like you can't put on tefillin after Ma'ariv, even though it's still daytime. In nation kvar so Laila, because you made it nighttime. And it's a paradox. Lo nami, it's not the same. The tefillin lace b'Laila cloud. Tefillin you can't do it at night at all. The shapi abitat decides the difference. It's contradictory to say it's nighttime and you have to put on tefillin. How about tefillin mincha? Yisa b'Laila b'tashlumin, but mincha it's shaykh at night when you're doing tashlumin. In other words, there's an overlapping time because it's tashlumin. It makes an overlapping time. It's not paradoxical. Therefore, it's not like a deliberate skip. Certainly, if you thought it was permissible to have Mar before Mincha, it certainly is inadvertent. If you should have in the second Shemona, you make up Mincha. If already you said in Ma'ariv, even though it was Mibod Yom, you said Yal because the next day is Rosh Chodesh, and we're going to Tashlumin, even for the second year was Tashlumin, Ash's Mibod Yom, even though he was having concern the daytime, and it's not officially Rosh Chodesh yet, nevertheless, Sherei Kvar so for you made an item, so the second, the Tashlumin field should also have Yal B'Yava. Test. First one is obligation. First one essay. Second one is the makeup one. If you had in mind the opposite, you take tefillah, she tashlumin. You were not yotzi tashlumin tefillah. The tzarech lastly spalo, so you have it having a third shemon esrei. Chanti b'chol makom shetzarech lispalo tashlumin teshuvin. Every you have to make tashlumin and kal shono. Yesh yishmor. Some say the reason is the chovu tadir, because the obligatory tefillah is the prevalent one. It takes precedence over tashlumin, which is a rare one. I can't say this. The Tadir ain't cool because Tadir call them, you do the more prevalent thing first, is not an impediment to the Evid. Some say they made a takana. That person not to come deliberately diving at the wrong time. Therefore, they made an impediment required. You have to have the obligatory one first. Therefore, you won't come to this negligence. I'm saying a movement that doesn't make sense. Where do we find such a gzeira? But that also could be by did b'mezid. If you didn't inadvertently, why is there a gzeira? Not any such distinctions. Clearly, the tefillas tashlumin cannot be said tefillas chova. Nearly a time. And I think that Arukh HaShulchan suggests the king and the tefillah have to play a melech, since davening is like standing before the king. So you have to first pay the king what's due him. Take him immediately. If not, it's like rebelling against the king. Only afterwards can you ask him mechila. They didn't stand in front of him before. But how can you ask mechila on the past if he's rebelling by not doing what he's supposed to do right now? He brings down here the Rabbi gives a different reason, but this is the reason he prefers. Yur. The Ramah says only if you had in mind, but the first one as tashlumin, and the second one is the obligation that you're not yotzei. So it's about tashlumin. Then you have down the third one I say for the actual tashlumin. Some people say the kavod slave ain't a makev, that even if you have that in mind, it's not a problem. Unless you verbalize this erroneous intention. Such as down in the first one, without saying ashrei, but ashrei. So verbalizing the intention doesn't mean you have to say this is l'chayva, this is rishus. But if you said ashrei, you're by mincha. Said ashrei before the second shemona esrei, not before the first shemona esrei, you're clearly indicating that the first one is the makeup one, and the second one is the ikar chiyuv. Or extra the bein tefillah atzma gilui das, or perhaps you need in the tefillah itself a verbalization. K'moshi's barbin avdol motzei Shabbos. Linire. I'm not sure what it says about avdol motzei Shabbos, but whatever. The linire ikar k'divei rabbein ramais. Arukh HaShulchan says that ikar is like the ramadi locain lo mishkachas hachdina lo hachdina. If you need a specific verbalization, then we wouldn't find this halacha el mitzias urchayka k'mo motzei Shabbos chaygavna, except in very motzei Shabbos, like if you said a tachanatan in the second Shemona Esrei, and not the first one. It doesn't seem like it's a highly imprevalent case. And if, according to what we explained, that this is in the previous sif, that this is based on saying in front of a Kodesh Baruch Hu and properly conducting oneself, it makes sense that even if it's internal thought, it's bad enough. That Kodesh Baruch Hu Yodeh Machshavos, Hashem knows your thought. So if you're not thinking for the name for your obligation, it's like rebelling against the king. Based on the sword which he wrote. It's long foot and long brackets here. Uchumas Hadeshin, according to Magen Avraham, says he made Avdol in both the Shmones and Motzei Shabbos. You're Yoitze, even you had in mind that the second one should be the Ikar Shmones, right? And Amrayakla, it's not proof at all. Because there, the fact he made Avdol in the first one contradicts what you assert to have been your thought. Because he may have done it. But I told him, the second mistake is in the second one, that you shouldn't have done. Come forward with Shana and Shama tape. The Din Zeh. And because that was the case, if the case was the way you wanted to set it up, that we said talking on in this in both, you're not Yotzei, so you have the same issue on a weekday if you have precisely the same tefillos. So therefore, so it's not a raya, because they're from that case over there. Okay, I'm not sure if I explained that fully, but it's not that important for our purposes at the moment. He brings down here the footnote. Mishnah Berurah says that in terms of the halacha, the Pri Chodesh b'Megaran Dvar Chaim Pasuk like the Ramah. Nevertheless, in the time when, since it could be that the thought is not an impediment, so therefore, when you daven your third Shemona Esrei, you should make the same Tanai, which we spoke about previously. Yurav, Shelo Ispalel Mincha Mispal Arvish time. And doing Tashlum my Marv, Ispal Arvis Gedarko, creation of Richel Shemona Esrei, daven normal Marv. Harki Shek Deiluch Arbamas, then wait the mountain takes 4 amos. Spal Tashlum Mincha, do the Tashlum from Mincha. Rabbeinu Ramah Kosam Si Beis Yomar Ashrei Kodem Ashrei. You say Ashrei for the second Shemona Esrei. But Yeshi is here Shelo Mar Ashrei Babas. So those that don't say Ashrei Marv, feel Achar Mincha. Hey, that's Chacham and Kubal. Nochlam Ashrei Mukol are frowned on saying Tehillim at night, at least before Chatzos. Chemevor Bazoyer. That Mashbiyokim Omrim Ashrei Benila. Yom Kippur we say Ashrei by Neila. Yom Kippur have 8 slots on Kol Yom. There's an 8 slots the entire day, even after Mincha. Chemar Mizmor Echad. So therefore say another kapitel to him. It's a Makiv Klal, and you don't even have to say one. Which Kosab like wrote the Rak Sheshoeh. Arba Amos, that even just wave of Ramath Yochel is by great daven. Pashu the Mikoyim Mispal Shemona Esrei Chag Mispal Kriya Shema Brichosei Shemona Esrei. If you daven Shemona Esrei first, which actually is what the Yerushalmi suggests by Mar, but probably not. Daven Shemona Esrei, and then you daven Mariv and another Shemona Esrei. So that it reveals that you might do Tashlumin before the Chov, the compensatory, before the obligatory. So and then you have to do a third one for the compensatory. Purely, and it seems to be wow, he's not believed about himself. He says, "I did the first one, which I done for my chiyuv." Not believe. The Gemara Lama on my kriyash my brachas elishnia. See, but it's right. Why I say kriyash my brachas on the second one? Whoo boy, that is merapsin nigla. That's pretty amazing. We don't believe on himself. He's not believed for himself. It's a very big chiddush. Okay, the Mishnah Berurah says the name of Dvar Chaim that how a person will that whatever a person does in terms of what am I going on here? So we actually did already, I think so. Yeah, in terms of saying Ashrei and other kapitel Tehillim, it doesn't matter, but for even at night you can do it because we're not so makbid on the Kabbalistic aspects. But as long as it's daytime, for sure you should not refrain from saying Ashrei, even though it's after the Mincha. If you came late to shul and the time of the tzibur is already down Mincha, you should down with them and say Ashrei afterwards. Ashrei is a big thing. Magen Avraham writes in the Zohar, it seems that even in this case, even in that case, you shouldn't say it as a chiyuv, but as somebody who's korei ba Torah.